Hi, Mrs. Couch. For my assignment, I'm interviewing my uncle, Mickey. He moved from the U.S. to the island of Palau. Wait, hold on. He moved to the U.S. from the island of Palau when he was 14 years old. Uncle Mickey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eli?
Good.
Thank you for having me for this interview. This is really great.
No problem. Okay, here's the first question I have for you. Can you describe a challenging moment or experience in your life?
Sure. Well, as you said, my challenging moment was when I had to leave Palau. So when I was young, I was born and raised in Palau until I was 14 years old. So that means I had my two brothers were there and my sister and my mom and my whole family was in Palau. So when I was 14 years old, I decided to come here to the United States to live with my dad, which which is Bampa, and my new stepmom, which is Didi, and my two brothers, which one of them is Uncle Nick and one is Uncle Brett. So I had to leave everything I knew, everybody I knew, and then I moved here to the United States where I did not know a single person. So that was my challenging moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who are some of your friends back at Plow?
Well, I had everybody was there. Like I said, my two brothers, my sister, my best friend Melvin, all my cousins were there, my uncles and aunties, everybody I knew is from Palau. So when I moved here to the United States, I didn't know a single person. I never met. Well, that's not really true. I know that my dad was here and my mom and my two like brothers, but I've never met them in person. So this would be the first time I ever met them.
Wow. Here's the second question I have for you.
Sure.
What types of things were going on in the world when this event occurred? What was life like for you at this time?
That's a great question. So I'm not sure if you know, but Palau is a very small island. And we didn't have a lot of things that you may be used to here in the United States. For example, we didn't have electricity 24 hours a day. We only had electricity when it got dark. So,
Wow.
so at maybe around 7 o'clock at night, they would turn on the electricity and then they would turn them off when everybody is asleep, which is about maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. So
That's
that's one
crazy.
thing. I know. And we didn't have any indoor plumbing. Do you know what that means? We didn't
You
have
can't
inside showers. We didn't have inside bathrooms.
you can't use like your sink, your shower,
Well,
bath.
we had a sink, but we didn't have a shower. We didn't have like a toilet. We didn't have washing machines and dryers. We had to go to outside to because we had like a little area where there's running water, and we had to go there and take showers. And it's not really even a shower. You just use a big cup and you dunk it into this big tub of water and you pour it over your head. And,
Wow.
and then you use shampoo and soap, and then you get that same big cup and you pour over your head until you're good.
What was it like not having electricity all day?
Well, it's interesting. When we were there, we didn't even notice there was a difference because that was our regular life. So to us, it didn't matter. That's what it was. But with that said, it was so fun because everybody, all the kids, all the cousins were outside playing together because we didn't have any electronics, we didn't have TVs during the afternoon. So although it was challenging, it was also very fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Here's the third question I have for you.
Okay.
How did you feel when all of this happened?
Well, so how did I feel when I had to have that big change in my life?
Yeah.
That's a really good question, buddy. And that's kind of hard to, well, I'll try to kind of describe how I felt. I felt very scared because I didn't know a single person here and I've never met a single person here. So I was afraid that I may not um, I may not like it here. I may be homesick, but I was also very excited
Yeah.
because it was a big opportunity. Because I was like, you know what? I've never met my dad. I've never met my brothers. How
Yeah.
awesome would it be if we're like good friends? And I
Like
didn't even know
reuniting
it.
with your family.
That's exactly right. So I was both scared and happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like excited and like really nervous.
That's exactly how I felt. Yep.
English, knowing English.
Uh, was it hard learning English?
Well, it was okay. So when I was little, like your age, going
Yeah.
through school, we had to learn English because all of the books that we had are all in English.
Yeah.
So we had to learn to speak and read and write English. But the challenging part was to have a conversation in English. Like what we're having here, we're like talking back and forth.
Yeah.
That was so difficult because it's one thing to read a language, it's a different thing to actually uh, listen and speak at the same time because your head, your mind has to uh, talk in that language.
Like you don't really know the meaning of these words. How do I arrange them in a way that actually makes sense?
That's it. That's exactly right. And you know what else was really challenging?
What?
Were slang words. Do you know what those are?
No.
Those are the words that, although they mean one thing, when you use it as a slang word, they mean a different thing. Like, that's bad. Well, I really meant good, but I said bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're
Yeah.
fly. I'm like, what's that mean? I can fly? No, that means you're cool, Like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like slang words were really difficult to for me because all of the books that we read in school, they didn't have slang words. So that was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. You had to learn those from other people.
And to this day, I still don't get them. You should just ask your dad,
He always quotes movies wrong.
right? So yeah, so it's that to me was the toughest. But the language, it took a while, but then eventually I started to think in English and talk in English.
Were you really shy meeting new people?
I was. I was super shy because it's a new place and I didn't know, how things worked. I didn't know, and the whole language barrier and the whole like slang language. Like I didn't know how to talk to people, So
Yeah.
as a result, I kind of just like like stayed by myself and didn't really talk to anybody, and it took a long time for me to get comfortable to then make friends, right?
Yeah.
But eventually I did.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
The fourth and final question I have for you today is how did you find hope in this challenging situation?
Oh boy, that's a good one. That's a good one. And that's probably the most important one because that's hope is very important, right? Because for me,
Yeah.
coming here, not knowing a single person, I had a lot of hopes. Like I hoped I would like it here, right? Like I
Yeah.
hoped I would make friends. Like I hoped like my mom and my stepmom would be great parents. Like I hoped my two little brothers would accept me as their older brother because for them they didn't know they had an older brother. So
Yeah.
can you imagine if one day your dad comes to you and goes, "Oh, Eli, by the way, you have an older brother."
Yeah, that would be really weird.
Right?
Like
So
having
then
a relative that you don't know about?
right. So I hope that my little brothers, like your dad and your uncle, would accept me as their brother and as their older brother,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hopes. Like I hoped like I would be okay with the weather because in Palau it was a tropical island, so it was hot all year long. Like we
And
we we
here
didn't
it
have
has all the
winter.
seasons.
Right. Like we didn't have all the seasons. We didn't have winter and summer. I mean,
Never said snow.
fall and so
Yeah.
I, it's crazy. So in fact, when I was when I got here and it snowed for the first time, I was so amazed. I went outside and I looked up and just watched the snow fall on my face. I was like, this is crazy.
That must be so weird.
It
Like
was weird.
just discovering snow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Like it's been here, but it's not over here for some reason.
Right. So that I experienced it for the very first time.
Ask him about his first car ride.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
Yeah, how are cars?
Ooh, man, that was oof. Okay. So
Like,
this
what
is kind
kind
of funny.
drive?
So in Palau, right? It's a
Yeah.
very small place. Our roads were not as nice as here, where it's nice and paved and smooth. They're
Yeah.
kind of bumpy, and so you have to go really slow. Like I think the fastest we went is like 20 miles an hour.
Wow.
So the very first day I got here, Bampa went to the airport to pick me up. And on the way home, driving, like Bampa was going probably speed limit, so probably
Yeah.
55.
Yeah.
But to me, it felt like it was going like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, like you're going over double the speeds that you could, and that
Yes.
was the highest that you could go. So
And it felt so fast because there were so many other cars in the road and buildings were just going by like phew, 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 phew.
yeah, you're basically just flying down the road.
Yes, and I had both my hands in front of me on the front, the dashboard, like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I hope we don't crash. This is so fast.
I'm gonna fling out of the car.
It was and that was the very first day, like maybe within like the very first 2 hours of me being here in Massachusetts.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Did you get car sick?
Oh my goodness, I did. I got car sick. Not just that time, but a lot of
Like
other
trying to get
times.
used to cars and all
That's
that?
exactly it. Yeah, like my belly would be like, "Oh, I don't feel good." And in fact, I used to have to take a little pill to help me not get sick. And
Wow.
that took me a long time to get over that too.
Well, how long did it take
Oh
you?
man, I bet you, I probably took me maybe about a year to get used to, driving in cars and going fast.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, you were probably really used to going at that very slow pace of 20
That's
miles an
right.
hour.
And not only slow, but it's slow and bumpy. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's almost like a carnival ride,
like you're about to fall out of the car
That's
because
it.
you're not used to this.
That's exactly right.
Ask him how long it took for him to feel normal
Uh,
living here.
How long did it take you to feel normal living here? Like, this is my home.
That's a really good question,
This is
Eli.
where I live.
And that's also hard. That's really hard to answer because it took a while for sure, but I don't know exactly when. But it did happen, and it's when I was still in high school, so it's within like the first 4 years,
Wow.
So it took a long time because and like I told you in the beginning of the interview that
Yeah.
all of my friends were in Palau. Every single friend I had until I was 14 was in Palau.
Yeah, none of your friends were in uh
In
born
Massachusetts, yeah,
born in
nobody.
Massachusetts,
Nope,
nowhere in America, I don't think.
nope. So it
They're all the
wasn't.
way over here.
That's it. So it wasn't just me getting used to the United States. It's there had to be enough time for me to make friends, and friends that are not just my brothers and my family, like friends outside of my family, like friends from school, and of course me being shy, it took
Yeah.
me a long time to do that, to make friends, and Because once you make friends, then you feel more comfortable and you feel like you belong more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask me when you started dreaming in English.
When did you start dreaming in English?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a good connection. Yes, yes. So that's probably when I started feeling more at home. I bet you that's probably when,
Yeah.
because I do remember, I don't know, I don't remember specifically when, but I remember when that happened, where I started to dream in English. That meant that my head in my brain, I was starting to um, talk in English and listen in English, and the conversation is in English. Where before, when I first came here, I would listen to you speak English to me, and then in my head, I had to translate from Palauan. I'm sorry, from English to Palauan, and then answer in Palauan, and then translate from Palauan to English, and then tell you.
Yeah, that must be really hard.
That was difficult.
Uh,
So to your question, I think when I started to speak, I'm sorry, think in English is probably when I had my dream in English.
yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Ask me what it felt like the first time you went back to Palau.
What did it feel like when you went back to Palau as like a visit?
Oh boy, that's another good question, buddy. Wow, you're hitting all the marks. I love it. Okay. So I went back, I believe it was my junior year. So I graduated in 88. So it's probably like 86, 87 is when I went back.
Yeah.
And so that's about 4 years or so, right?
Yeah.
About 3 years maybe. So when I went back, it was very different. The island felt smaller. I mean, it's a small island to begin with, but it
Yeah.
felt even smaller. And I noticed that the island have changed as well. Like now they have roads that are paved. They have gas stations, not just one place, but like three other places.
Yeah, like Palau changed while
While
you
I was away, while I
yeah,
was here,
while you were gone.
and what happened was when I left, in my mind, I created like a snapshot. Like I took a picture of Palau when I left, and that picture stayed the same. So then when I went back, like 3, 4 years later, the difference was so much that it was so noticeable.
Wow.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. What do you think Palau looks like right now? Like today?
Probably more difference than I left it. I know the people have changed because now they're becoming more American
Yeah.
because Palau is under the influence of America, right? The United
Yeah.
States. So a lot of people are becoming very Americanized. And now they have
Yeah.
internet, they have cell phones. It's crazy. Everybody
But
has
yeah.
cell phones and internet and iPhones. And so it's very, very different now.
Now it looks like where we live today.
Correct. It's becoming more like the United States than Palau that I
Yeah,
left a long time ago.
they're getting the ideas from America and putting them in their own cities,
That's exactly right.
towns.
Yeah. And even cars, like everybody has a car. Like when I left Palau in '84, everybody walked everywhere, and now
Yeah.
everybody has a car. So they don't walk; they have cars and they have cell phones. They even have. I'm not sure if they call it Uber, but I think they have Uber over there.
Yeah.
So as a result, if you were to go to Palau, it'll probably be not as foreign to you
Yeah.
because they've become more like the US,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. How hard was it for you to learn in English? Like how hard was school when you just started learning the English language?
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so in Palau, um, we had to learn English. So just like you now, like you have to learn social studies and
Yeah.
math. That was we had to learn those too. We had to learn math and social studies, but we also had to learn English, like how to the alphabet, how
Yeah.
to read and write in English. You know,
How to spell,
yeah, that's yes, that's
how
exactly
to
right.
pronounce letters.
So everybody in Palau knows English. They're just not really fluent, right?
Yeah, like they don't know what this word means or this word. What does
Yeah,
that mean? How do I use this?
yeah. So they know enough. But if you, as you get older and older, and you probably, want to go to college or whatever, so you have to learn more and more to be able to do that. Like I had an advantage because I came here, so then I had to speak English. But most people in Palau, they don't have to speak English. They do it anyway, but they don't have to speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my homework took him longer than his friends here.
Did homework take you longer than your friends here?
Oh my goodness, so much longer. So much longer.
I can imagine how hard that would be not knowing how to do this.
Especially in the very beginning, like the
Like,
first couple of years. Like I came from school, I would have a snack, I would go upstairs into my room and my desk, and I would start doing homework until dinner time. Can you imagine that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do I spell this word? How do I do this? What does this mean? How?
And you know what? There were some subjects that came easy to me. Like I really liked math, so that was easy.
Yeah.
But things like social studies were difficult for me, and
Yeah,
government
like
was
learning
difficult for
about
me.
states.
Yeah, or different or other countries and stuff like that. And even like literature, like reading like
ELA, English Language
Odyssey and
Arts.
yeah, those are difficult. So those are the ones that took a lot of time for me because I had to like read things like 3 times to understand what they meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all the questions that I have for today.
Great.
Thank you for coming to this interview.
You are very
I had,
welcome.
I had a great time,
Awesome, buddy.
and I'm glad that I got to talk with you and see you about this challenging life experience.
Okay, buddy. Thank you for having me and for the awesome interview. You're a great host.
Thank you.
All right, bud.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.